Good morning, everyone. Virgo here. It is August 5th, 2019, and I wish I could say happy Monday to everyone, but unfortunately, it is not a happy Monday. This video is supposed to be about witness tampering and how that occurs and what kind of climate we're currently in that is allowing these things to actually take place and seems to be moving further and further towards additional violence versus the opposite direction. And I will be going over that because it's important. But before I do, I want to make a statement. I spent the weekend attempting to try to relax, as I had told you guys on Friday that I was going to take the weekend off, but found myself unable to because of the acts of senseless and needless violence that took place in El Paso, Texas, and in Dayton, Ohio. I found myself increasingly more agitated and upset with what I was seeing across social media. There are specific channels and Twitter feeds and, Facebook postings that I follow, whether I'm a member of those social media platforms or not. There are people that I pay attention to what they have to say because I generally respect their opinion. Some of them I even follow their channels on YouTube, and some of them follow my channel. There was a very disturbing trend to those individuals this weekend and to many, many others. First, let me go over a couple of things with you that I think is important. Number one, hate is an open attack on tolerance and acceptance, and it must be countered with acts of goodness. Sitting home with your virtue is going to do no good in the face of hate. Silence happens to be deadly. Apathy will be interpreted as acceptance by the perpetrators, the public, and worse, the victims. And if left unchallenged, hate persists and it grows. Hate is also an attack on our community's health, whether it be an online community or a real-life community. Hate tears society along racial, ethnic, gender, and religious lines. The U.S. Department of Justice warns us that hate crimes, more than any other crime, can trigger community conflict, civil disturbances, and even riots. And this one, guys, this one's really important. Because you see, these lone wolves and these groups that are considered hate groups, they're attempting to divide us, and it's working. And I'm about to show you how it's working. But I agree with the statement here that people that are patriotic and love their country, they condemn hate, they fight hate, they don't add to it. Or worse, push a narrative in a direction politically in order to help it serve that purpose, thereby taking all dignity and decency and humanity away from those that are the victims and the victims' families. Hate escalates. Take seriously the smallest hint of hate, which appears to be can appear to be simple name calling. The Department of Justice again has warned us that slurs often escalate to harassment, harassment to threats, and then threats to physical violence. Again, let me say this again. Real patriotic Americans condemn violence and they fight hate. They don't help push it. They don't take all of the dignity away from the victims and their families by putting it on a political spectrum and having more discussion about whether the killer is left or right. 30 people died this weekend, and many, many more were injured. 30 families, moms and dads, children, aunts and uncles, sisters and brothers, are destroyed because of what occurred this weekend. And even those that ordinarily are kind and loving individuals are too busy trying to decide and argue about where the killer is on the political spectrum to notice that humanity is what should come first. It's disrespectful that you would be discussing the political spectrum of the murderer when there are grieving families and 30 death certificates being signed. While we are on the subject of hate, let me take you over and show you something. All right, so this is some information that was sent to me. The Sun Port Charlotte reported back on August 2nd of 2019 that there's been a man accused of sending a dead kitten to a stalking victim. So what this story is about is that there were just a whole slew of terrible things that were sent to a victim in the Ian McGuire case. And what this is an attempt to do is shut the victim up from, it's called witness tampering. So in Punta Gorda, fecal matter, rotting bananas, laxative, menstrual pills, and a dead kitten. These are all items that were allegedly sent by 28-year-old Brenton Osborne to intimidate a stalking victim from testifying against YouTube personality Ian McGuire. McGuire, formerly of YouTube channels So They Call It Freedom and Hate the State, is currently in the Charlotte County Jail with multiple pending court cases. He was arrested June 27th for allegedly obstructing justice by harassing victims in an aggravated assault case. According to the arrest warrant, Osborne became associated with McGuire after he mailed McGuire information about problems he was having getting public records from the Elections Commission. Both men came to the Punta Gorda Police Department lobby to request a copy of a witness report related to the stalking case involving McGuire filming a vendor at the Punta Gorda farmers market. They allegedly began mocking the witness on YouTube videos and harassing him by phone. They also displayed the stalking victim's information on McGuire's YouTube channel. In April, the stalking victim began receiving packages containing fecal matter at her home. Service vendors were also sent to her address by false phone numbers, and Osborne once came to her home pretending to be an Uber driver, according to the affidavit. In harassing phone calls, the victim's grandchildren were allegedly threatened with rape. Strangers showed up at her home after a fraudulent Craigslist posting advertised free mangoes and star fruit at her address, the report stated. And on May 21st, the victim contacted police about a package which had victim's name redacted, grand kitten across it in blue marker. There appeared to be blood coming from it, according to the arrest affidavit. Inside was the remains of a 3 to 4 week old dead kitten. I'm not going to go any further because it gets really bad. I'm going to go ahead and link this to the description of this video. Before I do that, and before I end this video, I want to let you guys know that I'm going to be coming up with some form of a campaign. Something that will unite people. Something that will start getting people to realize that you must condemn violence. You have to condemn these acts of heinous violence. You don't spin them for a different narrative. If someone on your political side of the aisle commits a heinous act of violence, you condemn it. And if someone on another side of the aisle or the other side of the aisle commits a heinous act of violence, you condemn it. That's not that difficult to understand. It is disrespectful to be arguing political rhetoric on the heels of such a terrible, terrible act. It's disrespectful to the victims' families. It's disrespectful to the victims who lost their lives. And it's disrespectful to everyone, including yourself, in this country. We have to lead with goodness. The more that we continue to divide, the more the hate escalates. True fact. You don't have to agree with everyone. But you do have to take into consideration that they are humans. You condemn hate. You don't condemn people.